something.
Andre, looking at the technical aspect of this fight, we've already seen Kovalev's training camp. He's looking a little leaner. He's hired a Russian conditioning coach. He seems to think that gassing out was really his only big problem. What other problems do you have in not winning that fight? And are you making any adjustments? Or, like you said, after the fight, are you looking just to have the 13th round?
I mean, I'm going to always make adjustments. I make adjustments from day to day in sparring, so I'm going to make adjustments. I can't, come in the same way. I welcome him making whatever changes he needs to make. I hope he's at his best this time so we can have all the excuses off the table. And like I've been saying, I expect him to come in better. I expect him, that's what rematch is all about. But he can, rest assured that, I'm not coming in there, resting on my laurels. I'm planning on putting in a lot of work, and we're making the necessary adjustments, and that's the beauty of a rematch. You go to the drawing board, I go to the drawing board, and let's see who's better.
When it comes to drawing boards, there's a huge controversy going around about whether or not his trainer tried to join your camp. They say that your camp called him. He says that, tell me the story from your perspective.
Man, it's funny, man. It is funny. Well, first and foremost, I didn't read. I mean, my team kind of gave me the gist of what was put out. But it's 100%. It's a fact. Like, just think of the logic, okay? Just real quick. Just think of the logic of us coming up with the bright idea to call him out of the blue and try to pluck his head trainer, knowing that it's going to be a rematch. But just pause on that topic for 1 second. He incriminated himself by saying, if they would have took my offer, I might be over there. What does that say about him or his team and what's going on? So I think that says it all, but without, getting too deep into it, because the truth's going to come out, and I'm going to let my team put it out however they want to put it out. It's too much. It's too much of a trail. It's called damage control.
Why not accept that offer? Sorry.
Well, first and foremost, let me just give you the real gist of it, how it happened. My attorney has a relationship with John David. They've got some fighters that they work with together, et cetera, et cetera. And before the fight, they didn't do much talking. Obviously, it was what it was. And then after the fight, he reached out and just started complaining about the way he was being treated. He was complaining about the fact that whoever the Russian coach was, I don't know, that he wasn't able to talk in the corner, that right before he walked out to the ring, he was told he can't talk after a certain point in the fight, which I think everybody saw, and that he couldn't even understand the guy that was talking, so he didn't know the instructions that were being given to Kovalev. He was talking about how just Kovalev is just nasty with him. And, I mean, how would I know that? He talked about how he would love to join our team because we seem like good people, and Andre seemed like a good person to work with, and I don't think, I think I would get along with Virgil. So when he brought that up, my team did what they were supposed to do. They vetted the situation. They told me about it. Virgil's moving around training fighters, so he and I hadn't had a chance to talk. And as we deliberated about it, they went back and forth and talked or whatever. Then I think he came with some outrageous demand money-wise, and my team was like, listen, man, like, it's not going to happen. Like, in other words, we're doing you a favor, like bringing you in. I respect John David. He's a former fighter, former champion. And, with him saying the way he was being treated, I'm looking at it like, look, man, like, you obviously were on the other side, and I didn't take personal the stuff you were saying before the fight, but let's see if it makes sense. Now, only problem with that is once I digested it, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you're doing this to your top man, I can't trust you in the gym. And that's basically the conclusion me and Verge came to in about 2 minutes. Once we finally did get a chance to talk, we both agreed. A, I didn't want anybody taking anything away from Verge in the second fight. Oh, you guys needed John David Jackson. And B, I like peace in the gym, and I only want people in here that are with the team, for the team, and people that can be trusted. And that's the individual that, even if you have him sign paperwork, you don't know what he's doing at night in his hotel room with the other side. So if he's doing that to his guy, what would he do to this side? So we killed the situation, and then it came out when it came out. But I have one of the best trainers in the world. And no disrespect to John David, but that's not the first time we fought John David. That was the second time we fought John David. And John David hasn't done anything, in my perspective as a trainer, to make me want to ditch my trainer, add to my trainer. My trainer's enough. Even early in my career, when I got knocked down and people were like, oh, you need a pro trainer, I stuck with my godfather because I know he's the guy. And he showed that in the last fight that he's the guy. So there's absolutely no reason for us to want to reach to the other side. Like, that's not even part of my character. I wouldn't even think about doing something like that. But what happened is he got in too far. He got in too deep. And even during the deliberating process, he gave up way too much information about what had been going on, what was going on in their camp, why he was unhappy, disgruntled, et cetera, et cetera. That's why you didn't see him at any of the press conferences. They were negotiating to see if he was going to come back. That was the whole thing. So if you look at my career, every interview I've done, I don't make stuff up, man. I don't play games. I'm a straight shooter. Like, that's a fact. That happened. Now, how they handle it and deal with it on their side, that has nothing to do with me. But the reality is him being a former fighter, he broke a cardinal rule. You don't do that. This is a very sacred place, the gym. What happens in the gym stays in the gym. And I feel like even if you had a situation, that's one thing if he broke ties and said, I'm done, you know, I would love to come over there and these are the reasons why, and he never went back, you can kind of respect that more. But playing both sides, we're not going to fall for that. And that's why we didn't accept him on the team.
And lastly, there's always tension between two fighters when they're going to fight. But with this with this rematch, Kovalev's saying he wants to destroy you because he doesn't respect you, and then people are saying that maybe you've skipped the face-off and you're not showing up for certain promotions because maybe you disrespect him or you feel like you're too good for this stuff. Can you set the record straight on that, and then how you feel about his comments about you not being a respectable man?
Yeah, it's funny how when stuff like that happens, a lot of times I get the short end of the stick. You know, it's always Ward. It's never the benefit of the doubt, or it's rarely the benefit of the doubt, or maybe he had a good reason to not be there. I've never no-showed anything in my career ever, and we're talking about coming up on a 13-year career in November. I've always been a professional. I do my obligations. I try to do them to the best of my ability. So if I'm not showing somewhere, it's probably for a reason. And simply put, the reason is there was a mutual agreement for both of us to be at that interview before the main event. And I trained on that day too. Left here, got my food on the road, got stranded at the airport for 3 hours, didn't bail and go, stayed, rushed my way to the fight, got there, no Kovalev. He didn't show. He broke the agreement. So my team said, hey man, we don't know if he's gonna be here tomorrow, and I'm not gonna have you out here another extra day playing these kind of games. Go home and get some rest. And that's what I did. So I came, I packed for 2 days. He didn't show up, so he broke the agreement. So we're not playing those kind of games, you know.
Thank you for taking time with us today. Radio Raheem with Andre SOG Ward.